Solitario Resources has been around for actually 30 years now. And as John mentioned, there's two aspects to this company. One is what we believe is deeply undervalued zinc assets, two really good high-grade deposits. They're both joint ventured with great operating partners. One's Tex Resources, third largest zinc producer in the world. The other's Nexa Resources. They're the fifth largest zinc producer in the world. And when you look at these two zinc assets, they've had well over $100 million combined spent on them. They're advanced exploration projects, and they create, I just feel our share price right now is way undervalued based just on the zinc assets. Right now, zinc isn't in favor, so it's not the flavor of the month, and that's one reason I think the valuation we get. The other one that I'm just head over heels excited about is our Golden Crest project, a gold project in South Dakota. It's one that, I've never been able to say this in 40 years of gold exploration, but I think it could be the last great gold district discovered in the lower 48 states. It's a remarkable project, never been drilled. I can tell you we've taken a few very high quality gold companies to this, and we get no pushback on our perception of what this project could be. However, we don't have one drill hole into it yet, so it's pretty easy to talk about the green sky here. Or blue sky, I should say. Newmont put $2.5 million into us in August of last year. And this is one of the first investments they've made in juniors in years. They did a lot of due diligence on this project. I can say when any new geologist shows up here, they can't understand why this project was never found. And I can't understand it most of the time either. We did another, and that private placement was done at a 10% premium to market then, at 60 cents, no warrants, no discounts. We did a second financing in December of this year, $4.75 million. Again, this was at market, no warrants. We've never issued a warrant in 30 years, and there's very few companies out there that can say something like that. This is a view of what's going on in the Homestake district historically, and I think also as we move to the future. There were there's quite a few mines. The three largest are the Homestake mine, which has a 68 million ounce endowment, most of which was produced over a 120-year period. It's the largest single gold mine in the United States, and our property situation is less than 10 miles. It's like 7 or 8 miles away from Homestake. The closest mine to us is the Wharf mine. It's an 8.2 million ounce deposit. It's in carbonate rocks. There's two different kinds of gold mineralization in the Homestake area. One is very old. It's 2 billion years old, and that's the Homestake mine. The other is tertiary age. It's 50 million years old. It's mainly in carbonate rocks, and that's in the Wharf mine. And then the Gilt Edge is also in the older rocks, but it was mineralized 50 million years ago, so it's young mineralization. If you compare this to, let's say, the Carlin trend, it's more endowed than the Carlin trend on a per square kilometer basis. Now, Carlin has produced more ounces to date now, but this is a prolific district. And this is classified, if you look at geologic literature, it's classified as a supergiant. And a supergiant is a deposit that has an endowment of 60 million ounces. There's 40 supergiants in the world. Every one of them has a neighborhood of gold that's twice as big as the supergiant. So when you have a 68, let's call it 70 million ounce endowment, there ought to be about 140 million ounces in a 1,000 square kilometer area around this. Like I said, there's 40 of them in the world. 39 of them have this type of endowment. So either Homestake is the exception to the rule, which it could be, and maybe there is essentially not a lot more gold. I don't believe that. Or we've missed it in the past. That's our land package. It's 100 33,000 acres. Most of our activity is in the larger block there. You can see that's the Wharf Mine right here. It's about 4 kilometers long, 5 kilometers, and it's about 1 kilometer wide. There's the Homestake Mine. There's Gilt Edge. Agnico Eagle is trying to put this back into production with more work. They're a long ways from reproducing here, but they're very active in that area. Core Mining is mining here, open pit heap leach. Dakota Gold owns a huge land position through much of the older district, and they have 4 rigs going right now. So this is a district that was essentially forgotten about for about 20 years when Homestake closed in 2020. Okay, so we've got super high-grade gold at surface. I'll go over some of these, and I'll be breezing through this pretty quickly. This is some of the rocks we've collected at surface. Now, I want you to understand, there was no claims on this project before we started. Not one claim. We staked every claim that we have. And it was just totally a neglected area. And here we start working at surface. And it is covered by grass, it's covered by trees. The best place to find anything is on roads, logging roads. And that's where our initial discoveries were made. You can see some of these samples here. We've never collected in 40 years anything close to this, but we have samples of over 100 grams. Of course, those are exceptional ones, but 10 gram plus is not that rare here. And there's just lots of like 50 to 100 parts per billion gold. And again, this should be completely devoid of gold. It was laid down hundreds of millions of years ago as a very clean limestone without any gold, without any other trace elements. And 50 million years ago, this area heated up. Very hot waters came from depth. They went through the Precambrian Homestake, which had a lot of gold in it. The water went up structures, and it feathered out in these favorable limestone. And we get these great gold grades at surface. Here we have our first initial trench, and that's right in a logging road. People have been driving over this for 50 years, and yet you'll only find about a dozen prospect pits on our 33,000 acres of land. And one of the reasons the old-timers didn't find it is they couldn't pan gold out of these rocks. And that's how they used to find gold. They would go 100 years ago, they'd collect a rock that looked interesting, they'd crush it, they'd pan it. If they saw color, they were happy, and they started working on that claim. We've done this a number of times, taking our best rocks, 100 gram. You think you'd see gold. We crush it, we pan it. There's no gold that you can see. So it's microcrystalline gold, which is very similar to the Carlin trend. This, and you can also see that we're right in bedrock in this particular area. Oops. Here's our first trenches. Really spectacular. Trench 1, right in the road. 36 meters is 17 gram. I showed this last year, so this information isn't brand new. It was generated and we made it public about a year ago. The second trench was perpendicular to it, 60 meters of 8.5 grams, and as you go in any one of these directions, it tends to taper off in this area. Now, if we go to a wider area, here's the trench area here with the the 60 meters of 8.5 grams and the 36 meters. Actually, this needs updated. It's 36 meters of 17 gram. If you go a half a kilometer to the north, we're still getting multi-gram samples on surface. Really a remarkable distribution of gold. We go to the south, 300 or 400 meters. Here's an 87 gram per ton gold sample from a grab sample in the soil. You literally, in a lot of these places, got to get down on your hands and knees and go after rocks because they're not well exposed, and that's why it wasn't found. This is a little bit of a cartoon, but it actually also has a lot of the details here. Here's the surface trench samples shown here, which is the combined 60 meters of 8.5 grams there. We think there's a major structure there. We're quite sure of it, but with exposure, you know, we're not totally sure. These are 2 platforms that we're permitting right now. And so we'll test this target with at least 2 holes. From each of these platforms, we can drill 5 holes if we encounter good results. What I like about this is our drill holes are going to test multiple gold-bearing horizons. And we know they're gold-bearing either because we found them on our property, or we know the old district that when you saw these horizons, they could be gold-bearing. So we're very confident that this sequence of stratigraphy is there. Now, the best gold, limestone-hosted gold mineralization is at the bottom of the Paleozoic, which is the rock formations, the limestones. And when we see that there, we see indications from geophysics that there's increased metal content. It is exactly what we want to see here. So as a geologist, this is really a spectacular coincidence anomalies. We have great geochem, we've got the right geology, and we even have geophysics to support it. So this will be one of our primary targets to begin with. Before I leave, the one thing that's been frustrating on this project is getting our drill permits. We started in February 2022, so we're just coming up on the 2-year anniversary. The forest stopped permitting all projects for about a 5-month period because they had another project located about 25 miles from us that had some serious opposition because of water concerns around a water source. So it slowed our permitting effort down by about 5 months, or else I think we would have been drilling last year and would have had at least a dozen holes drilled. Anyway, the permitting got reignited again, just like the Forest Service said it would. They said they were going to take a pause, and then they would start moving it forward. It did move forward. We got our FONSI, which is finding of no significant impacts. We're in an objection period now that's going to end within the next 1 or 2 weeks. Then the Forest Service responds to objections, and then we get a final decision on permits. We hope to be drilling by June 1st. And so that's the kind of the goal right now. That isn't the rosiest goal, but that's assuming no major delays that we encounter that we're not seeing right now. But it's actually gone well. The Forest Service there is professional. They have mining in that district, and there's quite a few new exploration projects besides our own that are moving forward on the Black Hills. Now, real quickly, I'm going to talk about the 2 zinc projects, value propositions. As I mentioned before, one is Florida Canyon. Florida Canyon is in Peru. It's been worked on for over 15 years, over $80 million spent on it, 530 drill holes, great deposit, high grade, very mineable, great metallurgy, good partner. And then the Lick Zinc project is in Alaska. I want to show you this demonstrates the quality. This chart here is the grade of junior-owned zinc projects throughout most of North America, and I think there's a couple from Australia here. Our 2 projects, Lick and Florida Canyon, are 2 of the 3 highest grade zinc projects out there, and they have a lot of zinc associated with them. If you look at measured and indicated, over 3 billion pounds to our joint venture credit, and over 2 billion in the inferred. The Florida Canyon Zinc project is in northern Peru. The other very major, besides a high quality deposit, we're completely carried to production. The $80 million that's been spent on this project, We haven't spent it. Our partner has. And once they get the feasibility and complete that, we'll go from our current 39% to 30%. And then they lend us the money for our 30% of construction costs. So there's no equity dilution, none whatsoever. There's no risk of project financing because our partner's doing that. And it's just, and we get 50% of the net cash flow due us starting day one. So it's a tremendous joint venture. It's a very valuable joint venture, and it is indeed a good zinc deposit. That's, you can find on our website. It's a layout. And then finally, the Lick deposit is only 11 miles from the Red Dog mine. Red Dog, largest zinc deposit in the world, lowest cost, operated by our partner Teck. It's a great deposit. We envision this, and there's no agreement to do this with Teck, but our vision, and I think Teck probably wouldn't say anything different, is that this will be mined as a satellite mine, and the ore will be trucked 11 miles to the Red Dog mine. Now, this is a ways off in terms of production. They're still mining at Red Dog, and of course, Red Dog is right next to their mill, so they'll continue mining there. But I saw a very interesting slide on Teck on Red Dog. Over the next 4 years, its production profile is going to go down 30 plus percent. And that's really impactful, and that's going to make Lick look like a very viable, let's bring this project on, and hopefully that's the scenario we'll see. It's a view of the Lick, the outline of the Lick open pit, 24 catalysts, drilling at Golden Crest, at least 5,000 meters of drilling, I think we see there. We're fully funded for that. Excellent potential to add more targets at Golden Crest, but frankly, we have too many targets right now, so we don't have to add too many. Potential drilling at Florida Canyon. We're hoping to hear from our partner in the next 1 or 2 weeks for a budget approval for drilling. We don't have that yet, so I can't promise drilling, but I hope we get there very soon. And finally, last slide. Current share price is around 55 cents. I want to emphasize we have about 79 million shares outstanding. We've been around 30 years. We've never had a reverse split. We have about $9.4 million in the bank right now. So we're well financed. We've been very disciplined on protecting our shareholders from serial financings. Although I talked about 2 financings in the last 6 months, those were at market, no warrants, and this carries us, we think, pretty easily through the next 2 years. So if you do become a shareholder of Solitario, you can be assured that management here really protects your interest. Our major shareholders are management and directors, 9.3%, EdgePoint, which is a fund out of Canada, 9.2%, Newmont is at 8.7%, and Zebra Trust, which is Lucas Lundin family. Lucas unfortunately passed away over a year ago. Their share ownership is 4.9%. So that's the Solitario story. I think it's going to be a very exciting year for us, and thank you so much for your attention.